wind, the breeze, all that's important. Make a lot of noise. The earth was, the world was created with sound, and it probably will end with silence. So until then, I say we just keep clapping and laughing and dancing and singing as much as we can. There wasn't a lot of music or dancing or singing in my house growing up. We had a huge family. I lived with my dad and my stepmom, and they were sort of like experimental parents. They raised us like tenants. They loved us and we loved them, but there was kind of like this weird kind of sort of creative and emotional disconnect. And I think it was just due to making ends meet. But they also were obsessed with death. It was crazy, in a really fascinating way. As kids, they would read us excerpts from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And then for my 10th birthday, because I was showing interest in early American poetry and stuff like that, my stepmother bought me the books, the Bell Jar and Poems by Sylvia Plath. But my parents were also every birthday we'd get a cake and it would say happy birthday, 1 year closer to the coffin. Just kidding. It was funny. And they were really interesting. They also believed in past lives and in reincarnation. They were followers for a while of Edgar Cayce, who was this great American mystic called the Sleeping Prophet, and he would fall asleep and go into hypnosis, and then you would visit him and he would be able to tell you stories about your past lives, and he had all these you get psychic readings. My parents read all of his books and would go to seminars by his disciples, and they would get their past lives read, and they would always come back so excited because my dad found out he was on the Titanic, and my stepmother was the Queen of Portugal or something, and they were also animal lovers, my parents, and we had a whole almost miniature animal farm. Once we moved out of Detroit, we moved up northern Michigan, and we had all this land, and we had the 70-foot trailer, and we had the Chevy Nova on cinder blocks without any tires, and the snowmobiles, and the three-wheelers and four-wheelers. I mean, it was veritable white trash, but then in the backyard was just acres and acres of these little fenced-in areas with adopted sheep and adopted geese, and we had 14 cats and 15 dogs, and we had many goats, and one of them was a unicorn, except it just came out of the side. And all of these animals, a lot of them were adopted or fostered in or taken from shelters, because they were, really, my stepmother especially just believed that, you should take care of Mother Nature. So she spent more money on food for the animals and health care for the animals than she did on her own children. I don't resent her one bit, but, hurts a little. And whenever they would adopt a new animal, they would take it to the psychic to get its past life. And then they would try to name the animal after its former life. So it was a poodle black lab mix that was named Albert Einstein. And then we had this little bitchy Pomeranian, which is those little lap dogs, named Princess Victoria. And then when she had her first litter, it was Queen Victoria. And then after her fourth or fifth litter, we just called her bitchers. And then every time the animal would pass away, my parents would let us bury it, which was such a bummer to me because I just wanted the most outrageous, elaborate pet cemetery. I was so ready for it. I dug all the trenches and carved all the tombstones. But they believed in sky burial, where you just put the animal out for Mother Nature to come and take it. So we'd have to watch pet poodle, black lab, mix Albert Einstein get eaten by the crows. We say prayers and give thanks to God and to nature, and then we just watch the devastation. So much death. Our whole backyard was just smelled like animal feed and like dog food and cat pee, and it was the essence of life, you know. So it was so noisy, you know, all this barking and screaming and lovebirds kissing and the chickens laying eggs. And the ostriches hopping up and down.